I've made a significant decision regarding the $3 million. It's decided to split it between my mother and myself. This resolution came swiftly after my father's funeral. Robert, after examining the inheritance documents without seeking permission, remarked to me, "Kelly, don't be too greedy." Amidst thoughts of finally quitting my job, gratitude flooded my mind for the caring old man. "Are you referring to my dad?" I blurted out inadvertently. Ignoring my confusion, Robert and my mother-in-law enthusiastically discussed plans to purchase a new car and indulge in shopping. Faced with this unexpected development, my emotions reached a boiling point. Burdened with household chores and insulted by their remarks about my father, I couldn't bear to continue living with Robert and my mother-in-law. Suppressing my anger, I forced a smile and replied, "Sure, feel free to use the money as you and my mother-in-law please." I am Kelly Cohan, a 38-year-old housewife working alongside my husband. My parents, both doctors, ran a well-reputed clinic in our hometown. As an only child, I was showered with love. After graduating from the School of Pharmacy, I secured a job at a major pharmaceutical company. Though my parents wished I had become a doctor, they respected my decision. 10 years ago, my mother tragically died in an accident, leaving my father and me devastated. During those trying times, Robert, my then boyfriend, supported me. We met through a mutual friend, and 2 years after my mother's passing, Robert proposed. Robert was an ordinary salesman in the food and beverage industry, but I believe we could overcome any challenge and find happiness together. My father was overjoyed when I shared news of our engagement. "I've heard how Robert supported you, Kelly. Thank you so much. Please continue to take care of her," he said, facing Robert with sincerity. Standing next to Robert, I felt a mixture of emotions. Immersed in a wave of happiness, we visited Robert's family home the following week to announce our impending marriage. His mother, adorned in flashy makeup and divorced from Robert's father, scrutinized me with an air of rudeness. "Marriage? You're Robert's choice. For you, isn't she a plain choice for you? And she's older, right? Wouldn't a younger and prettier girl be better for you?" she said, evaluating me without any restraint. Quickly, Robert retorted, "Mom, you know I'm in pharmaceuticals, right? Kelly works there. Her father is a doctor and runs his practice." Instead of highlighting my character, Robert emphasized the financial advantages. In response, his mother's expression transformed into one of satisfaction. "Oh, Robert, you should have told me such important things earlier. That changes everything. I happily approve of the marriage. Nice to meet you, Kelly." "Thank you," she declared, granting her approval. With Robert overjoyed at his mother's acceptance, I couldn't shake off a lingering sense of unease. Despite the smooth proceedings and approval from Robert's mother, as we were about to register our marriage, my father, a doctor and real estate investor, presented me with an apartment in a luxury building in New York City as a wedding gift. Excitedly, I informed Robert, "Dad has given me this apartment as a wedding gift. It's our new home. Let's live here happily and peacefully together." Robert smiled, and our married life commenced. However, post-marriage, I began to notice something disconcerting. Robert, having lived with his parents until then, seemed almost incapable of handling household chores. He couldn't cook, didn't know how to operate the washing machine, and showed no interest in learning. Garbage would be left scattered around with no effort to dispose of it properly. While my intention was to conscientiously share household responsibilities, Robert's careless attitude only heightened my dissatisfaction. In the initial year of our marriage, I willingly took on all the household duties despite some complaints, considering we were still in the honeymoon phase. However, the combination of work exhaustion and struggling to keep up with chores pushed me to my limit in our second year. Deciding it was time for a serious conversation, I bravely expressed my dissatisfaction to Robert. To my dismay, his response lacked gratitude or reflection. "I'm tired from work too. You're much better at chores than I am, right? It's better if you do them since I'm not good at it," he dismissed just like that. Consequently, Robert hardly contributed to the chores, leaving me to bear the brunt of our household responsibilities. But that wasn't the sole issue. After marrying Robert, I discovered that his mother harbored some peculiar ideas. Robert, not particularly interested in seasonal events, led me to send a quality scarf and carnations to his mother for Mother's Day. Despite selecting a nice scarf from a department store, his mother's displeased call criticized it as not being from a famous brand, deeming it absurd to send such a no-name item. Attempting to explain its quality proved futile as she insisted on items from a very famous luxury brand. Stunned by her reaction, I reported this to Robert upon his return home. Instead of empathizing, he nonchalantly said, "What? Just do as she said." Robert failed to take my side, and from that point on, we started giving her cash as she demanded. By our 5th year of marriage, her frequent visits became a regular occurrence, always finding reasons to ask for money. Despite this, Robert, without any complaints, would always smile and comply with his mother's financial requests. I held a job while Robert's income remained limited and small, making our daily life just barely manageable. Desperation drove me to dip into our savings to cut living expenses. Despite my frustrations, I understood Robert's deep affection for his mother, who had supported me during tough times. She was the mother of someone important to me, and with that thought, I endured. Now, in our 8th year of marriage, I continued to handle all the household chores and kept giving money to my mother-in-law. One day, amidst this routine, my father, whom I hadn't seen in a while, unexpectedly called me. The story he shared during our rare meeting was shockingly unexpected. He revealed that he was suffering from terminal cancer and treatment was no longer possible. Overwhelmed with shock, tears spilled from my eyes. My father gently stroked my head, just as he did when I was a child, saying, "Kelly, this is fate. Let us accept it quietly." I questioned him, "Dad, why even you?" Thus, my days became a juggling act of work, household duties, and visits to my father's hospital. While work allowed some flexibility, managing the household was not easy. When I told Robert that my first priority would be caring for my father, he showed no reaction or willingness to help. "Well, it's tough with your father's sudden condition. Please do your best," was the only thing Robert said. He visited my father in the hospital only once. My father's care consumed all my time, leaving no room to spare for Robert. If I ever had a moment to worry about him, I prioritized my father. One day, as my father lay in his hospital bed, he suddenly asked, "Kelly, how is your marriage with Robert going?" Caught off guard, thoughts of Robert's demeanor at home and his mother's behavior flooded my mind. Unable to answer properly, I hesitated. Sensing my turmoil, my father comforted me, saying, "Kelly, you don't have to endure. Think about your happiness. Don't worry, you won't have any hardships after I'm gone." Tears flowed uncontrollably as my father silently and firmly held my hand. 3 months later, the inevitable moment arrived. My father passed away quietly, engulfing me in immense sorrow. Amidst funeral arrangements, Robert showed no interest in my grief and offered no help. Despite this, I was too consumed with preparations to notice. Many friends and acquaintances attended my father's funeral, making it a heartfelt farewell, even for the indifferent Robert and his mother. The day after the funeral, a lawyer called about my father's inheritance, arranging a meeting. I listened to the surprising explanation. After deducting taxes like inheritance tax, my father's estate amounted to over $3 million. He had not only earned income as a doctor but also invested in real estate, leaving behind a vast fortune to be inherited by me, his only daughter. Wrapped in surprise and gratitude, yet trembling at the thought of handling such a huge amount of money, I stood on the threshold of a new chapter in my life. Upon returning home, I delved into the inheritance process, spreading out the documents received from the lawyer on my desk. I tiredly read through them, feeling overwhelmed by exhaustion. Drifting off on the sofa for a brief moment, I awoke to the cheerful voices of Robert and his mother in the distance. "Huh, Robert and mother too. Where did you come?" I inquired, still groggy. Approaching me with a beaming smile, Robert exclaimed, "Yes, Kelly, well done." Confused by his sudden excitement, I noticed the inheritance papers in his hand, the same documents I had been reviewing. "Wait, don't just read those without asking," I said, shocked and angry at Robert for looking through the documents without permission. Raising my voice, I expressed my displeasure. However, my mother-in-law, unconcerned, happily chimed in, "Wow, an inheritance of $3 million. Isn't that amazing? Now we can live comfortably for the rest of our lives." Confused by her sudden remark, I couldn't comprehend the shift in attitude. Robert then turned serious and continued, "By the way, about this $3 million, I decided that it will be split between me and my mom." It was right after my father's funeral, and Robert mentioned the word inheritance without hesitation, almost as if it was natural. Shocked, I couldn't grasp the situation. "Don't be ridiculous. What are you talking about?" I retorted. With my hands trembling, I held the documents tightly. "Don't get greedy, Kelly," Robert said calmly. Unable to believe his words, my thoughts drifted to quitting my job. The caring old man, my father, occupied my thoughts. "Are you talking about my dad?" I accidentally said aloud. Unconcerned, Robert and my mother-in-law continued chatting about shopping and buying a new car. Faced with this unexpected situation, my emotions boiled over. Insulted by their remarks about my father, I could no longer bear to live with Robert and his mother. Suppressing my anger, I forced a smile and replied, "Sure, use the money as you and your mother please." However, the smile was the last straw. I knew that I had to leave. That night, while Robert slept, I quietly packed a small bag with essentials and left the apartment. I found solace in a friend's place for a few days, gathering my thoughts and planning my next steps. During this time, I met with the lawyer again to finalize the inheritance process, ensuring that Robert would have no claim to it. Determined to rebuild my life, I found a new apartment, a smaller, cozier place that felt more like home. I resigned from my job, using a portion of the inheritance to start my own business, a small, independent pharmacy. The work was challenging but fulfilling, a way to honor my father's legacy while creating something of my own. As months passed, I received occasional messages from Robert, filled with apologies and pleas for reconciliation. I remained firm in my decision, knowing that going back would mean returning to a life of unfulfilled promises and unappreciated efforts. My business thrived, and I found peace in my new routine, surrounded by supportive friends and colleagues. Reflecting on my journey, I realized that my father's words had guided me. I didn't have to endure an unhappy marriage or tolerate disrespect. I had the power to shape my own happiness, to live a life that honored the values my parents instilled in me. Years later, as I stood in my thriving pharmacy, surrounded by the warmth of a community I had built, I felt a sense of contentment. My father's memory remained a guiding light, reminding me of the importance of self-worth and resilience. The $3 million inheritance had given me more than financial security. It had given me the freedom to start anew, to find joy and purpose on my own terms. The days turned into weeks and weeks into months as I immersed myself in the rhythm of my new life. With each passing day, the wounds from my past began to heal, replaced by a newfound sense of strength and independence. I threw myself into my work, pouring my energy into building my pharmacy into a pillar of the community. I took pride in providing personalized care to each customer who walked through the door, knowing that I was making a difference in their lives. Outside of work, I reconnected with old friends and explored new hobbies. I joined a local book club, attended yoga classes, and even started volunteering at a nearby animal shelter. These activities brought me joy and fulfillment, filling my days with laughter and companionship. But amidst the busyness of my new life, there were moments of quiet reflection. I often found myself thinking about Robert and his mother, wondering how they were faring after our divorce. Despite everything that had happened, a part of me still harbored feelings of compassion for them. One day, out of curiosity, I decided to look them up online. What I found surprised me. Robert had moved to a different city and started a new job in sales, while his mother had retired and was living in a quiet suburban neighborhood. It seemed they were both trying to move on with their lives, just like I was. As I closed the browser window, I felt a sense of closure wash over me. It was time to let go of the past and embrace the future with open arms. With a renewed sense of purpose, I returned to my work at the pharmacy, grateful for the second chance life had given me. Years passed, and my pharmacy continued to thrive. I expanded my business, opening new locations in neighboring towns and cities. My reputation grew, and soon, I was known as the go-to pharmacist in the area. But amidst the success, I never forgot where I came from. I remained humble, always remembering the lessons my parents had taught me. And as I looked back on my journey, I realized that every twist and turn had led me to where I was meant to be. Today, as I stand in my bustling pharmacy, surrounded by the sights and sounds of everyday life, I feel a deep sense of gratitude. Gratitude for the challenges that shaped me, gratitude for the opportunities that came my way, and gratitude for the love and support of those who stood by me through it all. With a smile on my face and a heart full of hope, I look to the future, knowing that whatever may come, I am ready to face it head-on. For I am Kelly Cohan, a survivor, a fighter, and a woman who refused to let the past define her. And as long as I have the strength to keep moving forward, I know that anything is possible. Thanks for watching and being part of this storytelling adventure. Click the subscribe button to support our storytelling channel.